I got this friend named Lori McKenna. She's a fantastic, well, she's a wonderful person. And she's a fantastic songwriter. And we get together every now and again and write songs. And she's written songs that you all know and love, like Humble and Kind. And a bunch of songs with Little Big Town. And she's just phenomenal. You love her. In fact, I'm sure maybe she's played here. If not, she should. Y'all would love her. We were sitting around talking. This is what songwriters do. We get together and we commiserate about how terrible our lives are for about an hour, and then we write a happy song about it. It's really a strange dynamic, but at the same time, every time, that gives me an idea. So we were doing that in her basement, and she thinks that we married the same person, just different gender, because we always have the same kind of problems. And so while we were talking, I said, it kind of reminds me of Death by 1,000 Cuts. And she's like, what does that mean? I said, well, like death by 1,000 small cuts and you bleed out, it's over. But you never really knew you were that hurt. And she goes, oh yeah. And I said, well, like love can die by 1,000 cuts. She goes, She goes, or, and we wrote this. They say opposites attract. They say you complete me. Take the good with the bad. Love me or leave me. All's fair in love and war. Nothing in between. When the stars hang low and the waves crash on sandy beaches and the moon that glows makes you wonder how far God's reach is. Somehow love can die by 1,000 cuts or live by 1,000 kisses. There's roses on the street, roses in the garden. There's lovers that we meet before our hearts have hardened. There's lies that you can't believe, whispered in the dark. And when the stars hang low and the waves crash on sandy beaches and the moonlight glow makes you wonder how far God's reach is. Somehow love can die by 1,000 cuts or live by 1,000 kisses. You're right from the start. It's hell and it's heaven, till death do we part. Forgive and forgiven, what makes this whole world go round can stop it from spinning. And when the stars hang low and the waves crash on sandy beaches and the moonlight glow makes you wonder how far God's reach is. I pray love can die by 1,000 cuts. Love can die by 1,000 cuts. Love can die by 1,000 cuts or live by 1,000 kisses. Thank you. So I was hanging out. You know, I haven't gotten used to it, but I got divorced last year. We've been separated for a long time. And I heard I heard it. But I've come up with a response to the because I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, hey, man, no good marriage ever ended. So don't feel sorry for, when people make their own decisions, and it was time for us to move different ways. Thank you. Forgive me, Father, for whatever. Y'all take care of that. I'll take care of this. I was hanging out with my girlfriend. Did you know that people can go out and like each other for a long time? Who knew? So we were hanging out on her porch, and it was a full moon. And we were still in the early phase of this thing where, I don't know, just still a lot of questions, good questions, and answers you haven't given before because you haven't been together long enough. And so we're sitting there looking at the stars, listening to Jerry Jeff Walker, and she just goes, "Hey, so how do y'all do that? How do you write songs?" I was like, "Well, it's a good question because I don't really know." I'll tell you where that comes from. When I was first starting out, I didn't know how to write songs, and I would read books and listen to interviews, and they talk to these great songwriters like Christopherson and people that I've really respected, and they go, "So how do you do it?" And they go, "Man, I don't know, man. It's just a muse. It's a mystery. You got to follow that muse and chase it down. How do you?" Then a song comes. I was like, "Well, that's bullshit." Because when you learn how to play football, they teach you what to do. There's three-point stance, the swimming thing, and throwing the ball. Like there's ways to teach people things. And I didn't really believe it. But then a couple of years later, somebody asked me how I write songs, and I was like, "I don't know, man. It's just a mystery. It's a muse, brother. You got to chase me." As I was saying, I was like, "Holy shit, I'm a songwriter." So anyway, she asked me that, and I was like, I didn't do all that other stuff, but I did say, I really don't know. And she goes, "What do you mean you don't know?" I go, "Well, here's the only way I know how to do it. See the moon, it's full in the sky." She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I've always had this theory that the moon and the sun cross paths on their way to and from work. And they probably talk to each other, like, 'Hey, good luck, have a good, it's a tough one out there tonight,' or whatever. 'I'm sure you're tired, man, get some good rest. It's going to be a long one tomorrow.'" And they kind of, they're buddies, they have a relationship. And she goes, I could see her look at me like, "Really, dude? That's how you write songs?" I was like, "Well, that's the beginning. The only way to finish that song is to keep thinking what happens next. That's how I write songs." And so she goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Well, maybe the moon talks to the sun, and they shine down their light down on everyone. Yeah, and maybe lights shine down through the clouds, and the wind blows them away, and they all take a bow. Yeah, and maybe some kid is making his very first wish, and he's hoping that maybe the moon maybe the moon really does know a man who lives way up there just because that he can. Yeah, and maybe he's laughing. He's up there just cackling. Yeah, he just can't believe that we're all down here asking. Yeah, and maybe some kid is making his very first wish, and he's hoping that maybe the moon Let me ask you one question. And if you don't know the answer, what the hell are we all supposed to do? Yeah, maybe the moon really does have a plan. The tides make the ocean turn glass into sand. And women, oh God, women, when you're fooling the sky, they dance in your wonder. And we don't wonder why. Yeah, and meanwhile that kid is making his very first wish. And he's hoping that maybe the moon, yeah, maybe the moon, maybe the moon, maybe the moon, maybe the moon. And yes, I got laid that night.